सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। 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 ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्तदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। देवाय तस्मै नमः। मन्मना भव मद्भक्तः मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैष्यति सत्यं ते प्रतिजाने प्रियोऽसि मे। This particular verse is repeat. Few verses only Bhagavan repeated in the entire Bhagavad Gita. And this is one of them. Because he said in the earlier verse, I am again telling you something which is very, very important, as we see. Sarva guhyatamam bhuyaha shrunu me paramam vachaha. Bhuyaha shrunu. Bhuya means again listen. Certain times you have to say things repeatedly to your own children also, because they appear to listen but they actually not. You have to repeat them again and again. Even when they say, you are repeating it. Yes, I repeat because you are not following it. So here also, Bhagavan says, I will repeat you again. What is that? Manmana bhava. May your mind be with me. Mad bhaktaha bhava. May your devotion be with me. Let your thoughts and feelings be with me. Then Madhyaji mam namaskuru. And do anything that you are doing as a sacrifice to me alone, and do constant salutations to the Lord who is making everything possible. Within you and outside you. Within you as your own being, and outside as the forces that make everything work. which we cannot even comprehend how everything works. Only when they stop working, we realize that. Right? If everything goes well, we take it for granted. When they stop working only, you realize what are the things that are going on without being noticed. One man came back home late in the evening and the fan was running and TV was on, nobody was there in that room, clothes everywhere, dishes were not washed, water was running in the kitchen also. And went to the bedroom, everything was in chaos as he left in the morning. And then he said, "Where are you?" And he called out for his wife. And she was sitting outside in the lounge or in the garden in the chair. "What is happening?" And what is happening? Why everything is like that? Because I wanted to show you, if I don't do, what happens. When I do, you take it for granted. Only when I don't do, then you realize what are the things. You always ask, what are you doing all day? I don't do, and you see what are the things are not done. So Bhagavan also 1 second, if he doesn't do what he is doing. Utsideyu ime lokaha. This whole world will, come to a standstill and everything will perish. For a few seconds, if the planet Earth stops rotating, think, few seconds, the entire galaxy will collapse. Every grahas, every planet, let us say, Sunday we'll take rest, But everything will go. One thing stops, that is enough. Out of sync. That's why Gurudev used to say, it is cosmos, not a chaos. So here, because of that very reason that everything happens without you looking into it, namaskar karo. For that, you have to salute. So, manmana bhava, mad bhaktaha bhava, madhyachi mam namaskuru. This first line is the same as we find in verse number 34 in 7th chapter. Then the first quarter is also same, almost. Mame vaishyasi. In 7th chapter also he said, Mame vaishyati. Mam eva ishyasi. You reach me alone. If you do this, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and your ego that you surrender, the arrogance that you have that I am so and so, you cannot be so and so if I am not there. That you realize that. That way you salute. So when you surrender your mind, body, ego, everything, then you reach me only. Mam eva eshyasi. Yeah, there he said, yuktvevam atmanam parayanam. Atmanam matprayanam. So me, the one who will be your own Atman, who is your own Atman, Parayanam, supreme goal, you will reach there only. Yuktva evam. In this way, when you engage, that was said in 7th chapter. Here he said, Satyam te. What I said is true. A promise. Pradijane. Why I am saying this again and again? Priyosimi. You are so dear to me. Only to the people who we like, the people whom we like. Only to them we, take extra step to make sure that they are taken care. So here he says, Priyosime. Therefore I promise. Do you give a promise to somebody whom you don't know, or you don't believe, you don't trust? So I am giving you a promise, and what I say is true. Satyam te, satyam, mame veshati iti satyam, and te pradijane. I give a promise to you Priyosi me, you being dear to me. In Bhagavatam, it is said, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Shakyam, Atmanivedanam, iti Navavida Bhakti. There are 9 types of devotion and actually 9 steps of devotion also. And there he said, iti pumsarpita Vishno bhaktihi chet navalakshanaha. Navalakshanaha bhaktihi chet pumsam. If a person has these 9 qualities of a devotion, Kirtanam is to listen to the glories of the Lord. Shravanam is listening to the glories of the Lord. Kirtanam is to sing the glories of the Lord. Vishnoho Smaranam, remembrance. Archanam, and doing the ritual part of worship. Vandanam, then mental salutation. Dasyam, to become the servant of the Lord. Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Shakyam, becoming a friend of the Lord. Then Atmanivedanam, surrender. In this way, Pumsam Arpita Vishnu Bhaktihi Tena Navalakshanaha Kriyate Bhagavati Adha. If one does this, Tat Manye Adhitamuttamam. I consider that is the highest way of reaching me, highest method of glorifying. So this way in Bhagavatam he said, it is necessary for a person to develop slowly because listening is one thing, but having listened, one must fill the heart with the devotion for the Lord. Then only the kirtanam is true. Otherwise it will be a singing for the sake of a classical singing, for the sake of getting the claps from the people. Yeah, the real devotee sings for the Lord, not for the audience. Is pouring out his love for the Lord, and that is kirtanam. So in this way, if Navavida Bhakti is developed, then Bhagavan says that you are with me alone, no doubt about that. So this is my promise and this is my word of advice to you. I have told you so many things, the entire Bhagavad Gita. So I am concluding this with all the important point. And now comes the final, most very well known verse of Bhagavad Gita, one of the often oft-repeated verse of Bhagavad Gita. Before that, we saw that in the next page, please. Lord Krishna declares the ultimate truth that will lead everyone to Him, and liberation. Fix the mind in God, mind being the constant companion of the soul. Without the remembrance of God, the mind will carry the soul into endless cycle of birth and death. And be devoted to Him. No human love is constant or complete. The soul whose true nature is the self is truly in love with the self alone. Unable to abide in the self, the soul wanders in the world of objects and beings. Devotion or the supreme love is the way to rediscover the most beloved self. See, when you say, I like someone or I love something, okay, you say, I love my iPhone. In the same way as I love my wife. Who will get angry? iPhone. I said, you compare your love for iPhone as your love for me? Obviously, there is a big difference, right? Love for a phone or any equipment or an object is different from a person. So, when you say, I love my iPhone or a car or something else, it's different from I love my dog. I love my dog as much as I love my husband. Obviously not. Hope not. So there is definitely, you can see the difference. Now you see, if I say I love my husband or wife, my children, versus I love myself. Now tell me, is there a difference? Yes or no? My love for myself is the higher than I love for anybody else. It is said in Upanishad that your love for yourself is the starting point of your love for everybody else. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Atmanaha tu kamaya. Because of your love for yourself alone, you love everything else. Why do I say that? Because my love is only towards that thing or an object or a person which makes me happy. Correct? You love something which constantly troubles you, makes you unhappy. That is why I said my dog is better than my husband. Sorry, not that way, but yeah, sometimes that happens. Because this doesn't cause much of a trouble. But obviously, anything that is causing me constant unhappiness, obviously my love for that thing must be less. So what is the criteria on which you love then? My happiness. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam. So the primary love is self-love. Presently the self-love in terms of the individual personality. So when I say I love myself, I don't mean this. I mean me, the personality. Correct? Me, the person. And when people accept me as I am, I like that person. If somebody, you useless one. Somebody who does not accept me as I am, I stay far away from that person. Because it makes me unhappy. He makes me unhappy or she makes me unhappy. So, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. So, again, I love my computer is definitely lower than I love my dog. I love my dog is definitely lower than I love my wife or husband or children. And that is lower than I love myself. Now, what Bhagavan says, your love for me, okay, is more than your love for your individual self. Jivatva, whom you love, is less. Why? Because presently what you call it as you is subject to death. If I have so much of trouble with my body, so much of trouble in my physical well-being, don't I feel, let me die. So what are you trying to get rid of? You. I'm ready to get rid of my individual jivatva to release myself to what? To something which never dies. So the immortality, the self, the highest self, which is Bhagavan himself, that love is considered the highest. Parama bhakti, parama prema rupa. Definition of devotion is given in Narada Bhakti Sutra. Bhakti tu parama prema rupa. By Narada Bhakti Sutra. So, my love for the God is called, therefore no more love, it's called devotion. Devotion is that there is no deviation. There is no other. Ananya Bhakti. So that's what here to be understood. Devoted to me, what it means, Mad Bhaktaha Bhava. Realize this. Your true love is for the Lord alone, but presently you are not looking in that direction. So be we devoted to Him. Devotion or the supreme love is the way to rediscover the most beloved self. Sacrifice all to Him, unto Him, which is nothing belongs to anyone, it's all His creation. Everything belongs to Him. We are only temporary owners of all that we own. Therefore He says, Madhyaji Bhava, sacrifice to me. Then He said, Namaskuru, surrender. Nothing belongs to, all human efforts are meant for temporary comforts and conveniences. No soul can escape physical death and rebirth. That total surrender to Him will release the soul from all desires and set itself free. That surrender is going to be spoken in the next verse. So leave aside everything to Him who will take care. The world that we live in was there before we came, and will remain when we leave also, unless we have destroyed it to the extent that nobody can live. It is His abode, and He knows what to do. We are just His hands and legs. Let us remember this and watch Him do everything through everyone. These two parts, or second and last two items, are for the next verse who is going to be spoken. And He says, stop worrying. Faith in Him is the only remedy for the disease known as worry. You can never stop worrying otherwise. Some people consider it as their prerogative to worry. I have to worry. Why? That is what I need to do every day. I get bored otherwise. So worry is a sign of absence of knowledge, wisdom. So Bhagavan says here, the most beautiful verse that is coming up, Sarva dharman parityajya Mamekam sharanam vraja Aham tva sarva papebhyah Mokshayishyami ma shuchah Sarva dharman parityajya Mamekam sharanam vraja Aham tva sarva papebhyah Mokshayishyami ma shuchah. Leaving aside all dharmas, surrender to me alone. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Vraja, kuru. Do the surrender to me alone. Then, sarva papebhyah aham tvam mokshayishyami. I then release you from all sins, and you have to not worry. Ma shujah. Now, Gurudev writes beautifully in this portion, 2-3 pages of commentary here. In the Sanatana Dharma, the word dharma is very important. And that is so unique to Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma. Gurudev explains it this way. Everything has got dharma. The law of being, he says. A fire has heat. That is its dharma. Close your eyes and think about sun. What do you remember? What comes to your mind? Light and heat. Without the light and the heat, sun cannot be sun. So sun's dharma is light and heat. Fire's dharma is also that only, heat and light. So everything has got its dharma. Dharma is law of being, without which it cannot be. This is the primary understanding of dharma, the word dharma. Dharati iti dharma, that which holds. Dhru dharati. Now, a fire, if you take, it has various shapes. Some are having long flames. If you keep a lamp, the lamp has a small little flame, a candle, little flame. If you go to the fireplace and then put fire, it is a long flame. Sometimes it looks red, sometimes it looks yellow. Sometimes covered with smoke, sometimes without smoke. Now, the flame, the color, these are all not essential dharma. These are secondary ones. The primary ones are known as mukhya dharma. And the secondary ones are known as gauna dharma. Gauna means non-essential. Non-essential because without that also it can be there. It need not have to have this much height of flame, because otherwise it's not fire. Can you see that? The flame is only secondary part of it. So in all things there are mukhya dharmas, essential dharma, nature, and there are gauna dharmas, non-essential or secondary. And a thing can remain without the secondary thing also, but cannot remain without the primary one. Okay, if it is understood, what is your mukhya dharma? What is your mukhya dharma? Essential nature. Your essential nature is this. I as the self, Satchidananda Rupa, is my mukhya dharma, Swarupa dharma. Because that which you always want to be, you cannot be otherwise. If you ask anybody in this world, you want to exist or not to exist? I prefer not to exist. And that doesn't mean, right? If everything that you want is given, would you like to exist? Yes, of course. Because he has some frustration, some failure, that is the reason why one does not feel like existing. Otherwise, if everything is taken care, essentially I do not want to be absent. I cannot be absent also, that is another thing. I exist, I know I exist, and I exist blissfully. Sat, Chit and Anand. This is the mukhya dharma of all beings, all living beings. Now all other aspects, body, mind, intellect, vasanas, all these are all called gauna dharmas. And for which alone we work. Our work is to satisfy our sensuous needs, bodily needs, emotional needs for which we have all the relationships, and intellectually needs because of which we pursue all our various pursuits of knowledge. Is it not? We want to intellectually satisfied, that's why we want to learn, watch news, what's going on. It's not what? Intellectual need. Who is going to be benefited out of what you are watching in news? It's my intellectual demand. But I have emotional demand also, for which I need a family and the children and then all that love and other things that are necessary for me to feel good about my own being. And also I can offer myself to the comfort and the emotional comfort of others around me. And bodily needs are there to sustain myself. So my entire day's work and all the things that I do are to take care of my non-essential dharma. Nothing wrong. But mukti cannot be obtained by being there. Liberation is not by being here only, in the world of karma. So therefore Bhagavan, what does he say? Sarva dharman parityajya. Leave aside your all non-essential ones. Go to that, what is the essential one? But unless we are able to recognize their temporariness, we cannot leave it. Isn't it? Why do you have so much in your garage? Kaam mein aa jayega. It is not kaam mein aa jayega for all the past 5 years. It is there gathering dust. Kaam mein aa jayega. One day I will use it. So moment it is not necessary anymore. then only the downsizing will happen. Downloading will stop. Somehow, some people, I am downsizing, Swamiji. Oh, very good. I have 5 bedrooms in my house. Now 4. That's not downsizing. The peculiar thing is people, when the children are there, they live in a small apartment. When children are gone, big house. I just don't understand how that works. When the children are there, there's hardly any room. Everybody is gone. Me and my wife. 4 bedrooms. One day I will, one day you there, I take it. We'll swap one day. Anyway. So the point is that all non-essentials, sarva dharman means sarva gauna dharman parityajya. What you think as essential to you, essentially not essential. And what is then finally left? Mamekam sharanam. The essential one, which has been shrouded, covered, as though we are not paying attention to that. That dharma, the swarupa dharma, the natural, essential, everlasting, eternal substratum of yours, mam, ekam, me the one, to that sharanam. Then abide in that. Stay in that. Once you stay in that, then only you realize, I have nothing to worry then. See, unless we go to that point of no return where I am taken care, that's why Bhagavan says, Ma shuchaha, why? Sarva papan mokshais. Sarva papebhya mokshais. All the things that you have done or incurred in these areas, because of which you have gained so much vasanas, you do not know how many are there to overcome. Not to overcome is sin. Overcoming, we will keep accumulating more also. That will end. That's why I will make sure that it ends. Aham mokshayashyam. Kaha? Moksha means what? Vasana kshayo vai mokshaha. End of the vasanas is called moksha. That I take care. Vasananam bandhanam. The nature of bondage which is made of all the vasanas, from tebhyaha aham mokshayashyam. From there I will take care. And Bhagavan says, Mam ekam, to me alone you surrender. Don't go to anybody else. If anybody else says, I will give you moksha, stay far away from that person. Gurudev always said, nobody can give you what is yours. Huh? Can I give you? I give you humanhood. Take. You want? Anybody wants humanhood? Being human? I'll give you. You don't need to give me. I'm already. Only thing is, I'm not paying attention to that. What is already yours, who will give you? The Guru is only pointing that. Hey, go in that direction. You realize that. You go in this direction. You will know what it is. One person, a hunter, he was lost. This is a very thick garden, thick forest. He was lost and he did not know how to escape. 3 days he wandered here, there, and there. Suddenly, one day he found another person, human person. Wow, he ran to him, tears rolling down. Finally, I got you, I'm so glad. I've been lost for 3 days. He said, hold back, I'm lost for 1 week. Do you surrender to that person? You can have a company of that person. He is not going to give you the solution. Andena niyamana yathandaha swayam dhira pandidam manyamanaha damdramyamanaha paryanti muda. Upanishad says, if somebody thinks that by merely reading the scriptures, etc., one becomes a pandit and I can teach you, he himself is blind. You go behind, blind leading the blind. Where do they go? So here, Bhagavan says, Aham mokshayishyami. I will release you here. So one of the ancient commentator, he says, there are three kinds of surrender. Three kinds of surrender. Now, the first surrender is Aham Ishwarasya. Aham Bhagavatah. I belong to God. This is the first step in surrender. मैं दास हूं भगवान का. Bhagavan's servant I am. Ishwarasya daso ham. Ishwarasya eva ham. Bhagavatah eva. I belong to the God. I belong to Bhagavan. Now this itself will transform your thinking. Because let us say that you are representing a company, whichever be the company you are working. So when you are interacting with your business agents, or you are representing company and you are talking business to another person, you are representing the policies and principles and value system, and then all about that company only, not as an individual. If there is a ambassador of a country going to another country, he is representing that country and his opinions matter, because when he says something, it's not he, the individual, is saying, the country is saying. That's what they quote. US said this. Who said this? US is not a person. The ambassador of US will say certain things, and that is become the statement of the country. Is it not? So if I can recognize that aham tasya dasaha, Ishwarasya dasaha, how would my behavior be? How would my behavior be? As an individual, I become the representative of God. Then my behavior should be what? To glorify Him, to make sure that His name is not contaminated. I have to represent that divine being, full of purity. This itself will change one's perspective. So this is first surrender. Surrender the individuality into the Lord's presence by representing the Lord. Think. Ishwarasya daso. Aham Ishwarasya. Now only when one refines oneself, becomes pure up to this point, then goes the next one, Saha Mama. Mama eva Ishvara. Meaning, He is mine. Meaning what? He's not, I'm not representing Him. He is in me. Mama means what? I own it. In my heart, I owned Him. He is here. I'm in His company. He's not, I'm representing Him. I'm in His company. What I am is because of He. This is the second step, where even when one is not representing Him anywhere in the world outside, he's always keeping that. Manmana bhava, that's what it means. Keep me as your own being. Keep me as your company. As the constant companion of the soul. So even if the world is not there, in the solitude, in that quiet moments of one's own daily life, one feels the constant presence of the Lord. And that is Mama Eva Aham, Mama Eva Saha, Mama Eva Ishwaraha. Then comes the third one, Aham Ishwara. Soham, I am. That is the point of Sarvadharma Parityaja. All other aspects are having given up. Mame. I am you. You are me. So that's why Bhagavan says, Jnani to Atma ivameva. Astita Sagayukta Atma. Because he is fully with me, because he doesn't think of himself any way different from me. Therefore, I don't think of him any way different from me. So, these are the three steps. If you look at carefully, first one is karma. Aham dasah. I am Bhagavan's servant. So, what should I do in this world? I do as he wishes, and I have nothing to gain out of this. Everything belongs to him anyway. So, I give up my karma phala anxieties, and one will be able to engage there. That is true karma yoga. Second is bhakti, as I told you, right? Where one installs the Lord in his heart. Thereafter, he cannot think anything else. And even if he thinks of anything else, he thinks of it as Bhagavan's form only. Sarvatra Atma Darshanam, Sarvatra Krishna Darshanam, Vasudeva Sarvamidhi. And the last one is Jnana Drishti. What is it? Sayeva Aham, Ahameva Saha, Soham. That is Jnanam, where knowledge brings a oneness, ekatva, unity, and destroys all disparities. So that is the beauty of this Sharanam. Sarva Dharman, Sarva Jiva Gunan, Sarva Jiva Dharman, Gauna Dharman Parityajya. Giving up that. Atma Dharmam Ekam Mam Sharanam. Surrender yourself to that Swarupa Dharma. Then Sarva Papebhya, Sarva Vasanabhi, Aham Tvam Moksheshyami. I will then release you from all the vasanas. Because one by one you cannot take it. It's like Ravana said, you cut one, again one will come. You keep on cutting again and again and again and again and again. You cannot. Sri Rama struggled hard. Even Bhagavan had to struggle hard as a human. Ravana would not be killed. You cut off the head, within a moment another one come. It went on and on and on. Finally he said, there is no point. Go straight to the core of it. Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Go to hit the main target. Then the entire personality will collapse. Ma mekam, ma shuchaha, do not. So, first one is, he said that leave all your dharma is, meaning all that you think you have been, past you give up. And anxiety about the future is called worry, is it not? Nowadays they won't say the worry, I'm concerned. New word for the same thing. I'm not worried, Swami, I'm concerned. Same thing only. Whether you have the tea in a silver cup or a glass cup, the tea is tea only. Put a new word for that, it doesn't change. The attitude is the same. Ma shuchaha means leave the anxiety of the future also. So sacrifice, surrender, and stop worrying. So this is what Bhagavan has said here. Very beautiful and most important verse here. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja aham tva sarva papebhyah mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. So that is why this whole Bhagavad Gita is known as Ashoka Upanishad. How to be free of worries. And then this next part is to whom you should give this knowledge of Gita and whom you should not. Because this knowledge is definitely something most sacred, and don't waste it in giving people who don't respect it. So therefore he says, Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushrusave vachyam na cha mam yobhyasuyati idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushrusave vachyam na cha mam yobhyasuyati. Na vachyam, not to be spoken, not to be spoken, not to be given. Here it is not that it has to be kept as a secret, but understand, those who do not value it, they will misuse it. That's what happens, When the knowledge is given to the unqualified, it loses its value and people take it too lightly. Especially when you give anything free, people don't value it. Always. See, when you put a value to it, it does not mean it's actually that value only. But because you don't value otherwise. One way of looking at it is, anything given free, obviously you would not. But if the qualified person, definitely you should not give it with a tag. Because that person really deserves it, should be given. And that's why in Upanishad also it is said that if a fit student is in front of you, pour it out. Because that person needs to be correctly given the correct knowledge. So, idam, that which I have given you now, te, to you. Idam te vachyam, what I gave it to you, na abhaktaya vachyam. Abhaktaya, one who is not devoted, to him na vachyam. Abhaktaya na vachyam. Do not give it to a person who has no devotion. A tapaskaya. Tapas means sacrifice, discipline. One who has no mental and physical discipline, he doesn't deserve to know this. Because that person will listen to it and it's going to be definitely a waste because it is not going to help that person. And if that person who has gained it as only an intellectual knowledge and when he passes it on without having practiced it, it loses. The next person who listens to it would not get the correct meaning of it. That's why he said, na sakale namahata yogo nashta parantapa. Over a period of time, this knowledge actually been misused and it lost its value because it is spoken and passed on by people who did not practice it. And so when they start talking about it, since they do not have a personal experience, they talk according to their own logic. And the people who listen to it also, they further interpret. And if they are also unqualified, further interpret, finally, what will come out is totally different from what actually is original. Usually they say, no, if you tell one person and pass it on to 10 people, by the time it comes to the 10th person, the first person wonder, what? I didn't say that. That's what I heard. I heard it. Finally, it is somewhere it has lost its value. So, not the one who is not disciplined, one who does not have devotion. Kadachana na vachyam. Kadachana, not no time. Na kadachana vachyam. Asrushave, not the one who have aptitude for service. One who is not ready to surrender his ego to do true seva. Yaha abhyasuyati, mam abhyasuyati. He, the one who does not have faith. Abhyasuya means cavilling, criticizing, ridiculing, talking low about this, talking as inferior, insignificant. One does not have a correct reverence to God. Abhyasuyati mam yaha abhyasuyati na vachyam, to him, to such a person also not to be given. So, we'll see more of it in the next session, and these are all the concluding parts. And then Sanjaya would say to Dhritarashtra, I am so blessed to receive this knowledge. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyid dukkhabhat bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.